Hello and welcome to this video where we will be talking about how you can monitor your IMM domain. So first, let's jump to the infrastructure service in Intersight. Here you can see we have a nice overview dashboard which shows you things like contract status, health of your devices and so on, not just for your IMM domain but also in general. Now you might have to question, what's an IMM domain? So what we can do, we just jump to the Fabric Interconnects tab. So a Fabric Interconnect is essentially a top-of-rack device for an IMM domain. But to really understand that, let's just drill down, and we have a topology view which should make things much clearer. The Fabric Interconnect pair you can see here essentially serves as a single point of connectivity for all of your blade chassis as well as for all of your rack servers, no matter if your rack servers are connected directly or through a secondary switch fax. Now, of course, you can also drill down on the links. Just keep in mind that the Fabric Interconnect view does not show physical links, but rather logical connections. And of course, you can also drill down to the ports on the Fabric Interconnect by clicking on them, which gives you more status details and allows you to disable the port if you want to. If you want to learn more about a connected device, you can just click on the info icon, which gives you some high-level information. And if you want to learn more, you just click on View Topology to drill down to the chassis topology view. Now, here we see a lot more details about the connectivity inside the chassis and between the chassis and the Fabric Interconnect. You can drill down on a blade, you can see all the links that are connected from that blade to the I/O modules, and of course you can also see the links, now the physical links from the I/O module going to the Fabric Interconnect. If you want to learn more about that particular server, you can just click on it, which will take you to the detailed view of that server. In this view, you can immediately see the health status of the server, which is calculated based on the alarms. There's also a very useful graphical display of the server, which visualizes the server components and the health status through this health overlay. So for example, if we switch to the top view, you can see all the internal components and their status. So imagine that there is a broken DIMM, you could immediately point to the DIMM and you would see the DIMM highlighted in red. Aside from that, there's also other information in this view, such as management IP, and if you scroll down, you can see that there's actually additional enriched information, such as the firmware status, contract status, and so on. If you want to learn about the components of the server, you can click at the inventory tab at the top, which will take you to a different view listing all the various categories of components, which will then allow you to drill down on each individual component. If you're interested in the configuration of the server, you can click on the Server Profile tab, which will list all the configuration settings that have been applied to the server from Intersight. If you click on one of the policies, you get to a detailed view where you can see all of the subsettings. You can also just click on the name, which will take you directly to the policy, where you can see all the settings in much more detail. Now, let's do something completely different. Let's click on the Servers tab, which takes you to the Servers menu. This view shows all of your servers in your Intersight account that you have access to, no matter if it's a blade, rack, or whatever. You can also add filters. For example, you can filter down all the servers that have a critical status. That's very useful to find problematic servers quickly. You can also, for example, filter by the HCL status. Well, what is an HCL status? Let's actually click on one of the servers to explain what that actually does. In a nutshell, this combines information about your device with the Cisco hardware compatibility list to give you a few answers. For example, is your server hardware valid? That's always going to be the case unless you add custom hardware. Is your server software validated with the hardware that you have? Usually Cisco validates all new major OS releases, so you can be sure that they work on your server. And finally, are the adapters and their firmware validated and tested for that combination of hardware and software? In this case, we can see that they are not tested. Now, just to be clear, that doesn't mean that they are not going to work. It just means that Cisco didn't test them. If you want to get the latest tested version of firmware, you can click on the Get Recommended Drivers button. This submenu displays the recommended drivers for each specific operating system version. Let's go back to the overview for now. Again, you can see the health status, HCL status and so on in here. And as mentioned before, the health status is based on the alarms that are active on the device. You can also see all of those alarms by clicking on this icon at the top right, which displays a list of all the alarms that are known to Intersight. And then you can click on a device name to go to the device view, where you again will see a list of all the alarms on that specific device. Alarms focus on things like hardware problems, configuration problems and so on. There is a second category called advisories. These focus on problems that might not be immediately obvious, for example, security problems or problems that could happen sometime down the line. So we can get to the advisories by clicking at the megaphone button at the top right, which will take us to this list of advisories. As you can see, there are multiple tabs which group the advisories, for example, into security advisories, field notices, and so on. Right now we're on the security advisories page, where you can see that we have 2 active advisories that affect our devices. You can see that there are multiple devices affected by them, and if we want to get details on that, we can just click on the advisory, which gives us a description of what the problem is, and it also shows us all the devices that are affected by this problem. Finally, if there is a fix or a workaround, the advisory will also display information about that, for example, upgrading to a new firmware release. So far, we have only looked at information regarding the IMM domain itself. Intersight can collect a lot of other information as well. For example, you can click on the virtualization menu on the left-hand side, which brings us to this menu showing virtual machines, virtual hosts, and so on. This should help you understand the context in which your IMM domain is operating. If you then want to put all of your information on a nice little dashboard, you can also do that. Just click on the service drawer at the top and then My Dashboard. There's a bunch of pre-built dashboards like power and energy, but you can also always just create your own dashboard by clicking on the plus icon and then adding your own widgets. Let's go ahead and look for a widget for one of our servers. We can scroll through the list of widgets, look through the description. Maybe let's add temperature. Now, many of our pre-built widgets will have some configuration options. So for example, time interval, if they display information over time, and other filters. So for example, here we're filtering which temperature sensor to select. Now, this is just one example of a widget you can add, and maybe you're not completely satisfied with the range of built-in widgets. So what you can do is you can click on Add Widgets and then click on Create New Metric Widget to create your own. This is going to bring you back into the infrastructure service and into the Analyze menu. Here you can use the Explorer to graph any kind of metric that you're interested in. Simply click on Metrics, select the metric that you are interested in, and it will be added to the graph. Now, you can also apply other things such as group by or filter. So let's go ahead and apply a group by, and let's go with the host name, which will create one line for each host. In this case, with the top N for the top 5 hosts. This is just a very quick overview of this massive feature. We have a separate video that explains everything in much more detail. So feel free to check out our other videos on this topic.